Your 20s can be one of the most exciting decades of your life. It's that age when you finally get complete freedom and autonomy over your life, depending on your culture, of course. But for many, you can kind of do whatever you want, whenever you want, for the first time. And you're still young enough that you get that childlike joy and excitement of discovering new things for the first time. But your 20s are also a crucial decade of your life. It's the biggest building block, where a lot of the decisions you make now, both the good decisions and the bad ones, will have a significant impact on the rest of your life. So you want to make sure you don't fuck it up. I'm about to turn 30 at the end of the month, and I've done pretty well for myself. There's still a lot more that I want to achieve and room for me to grow as a person, but I can genuinely say that I wake up every day feeling a sense of pride and gratitude for the life that I've built. And looking back at this past decade, here are some of the things that I learned the hard way that I wish someone had told me sooner. Specifically, 7 things that I wish I knew in my 20s. Number 1. Everybody is lost. Your 20s are an age where it's easy to get into the comparison game. Look at what other people are doing, how they're living their lives, especially in this age of social media where everything is a highlight reel. People are showing the most exciting, embellished versions of their life. But you don't see the downtimes. You don't see people at their lowest when they're depressed, confused, demotivated, anxious. The reality is, when you peel back the layers, everyone has their shit, and they're most likely just as lost as you are. We're all trying to figure out how to navigate this crazy thing that we call life. And that is a forever game, by the way. I mean, sure, hopefully as you age, you become a little wiser, but some people even in their 50s or 60s still haven't got it figured out. Your parents might not have it figured out. So don't put too much pressure on yourself to have your entire life mapped out and figured out in your 20s. It is normal to feel lost, and you are not alone. I heard this analogy about life being a long stairwell that is dimly lit, and you can't see the top of the stairs, but you can see a few steps ahead of you. So all you need to do is keep moving forward, taking one step at a time, and eventually it will all make sense. Number 2, do more things that give you imposter syndrome. This has got to be one of my favorite life mottos, because if there's one thing that I learned in my 20s, it is that you won't get anywhere by staying in your comfort zone. Nothing worthwhile happens when you're staying comfortable, whether it's starting a business, learning a new skill, asking out that girl you like, or getting into shape. Real progress only takes place when you put yourself in uncomfortable positions. So I make it a point to do more things that make me feel like an imposter, like I shouldn't really be in that room, but I'm putting myself there anyways, and I'm giving it my best shot. They say if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, which I think sums this up perfectly, and it's a mindset that I definitely plan on taking into my 30s. By the same token, I wish I had known sooner that following the majority is most often not the right path, which can seem counterintuitive, but it is valid in so many areas in life. Look at investing, for example. If there's an investment opportunity that everybody in your surroundings starts talking about, I mean your friends, your coworkers, the barber, the media, that is probably a decent indicator that now may not be the best time to invest. You want to be investing in things when they're on the down low, when it's not the hot topic that the news, media, everyone and their mother is rambling on about. Not to say that the popular opinion is always wrong, but it's wise to think for yourself and ask yourself why something is so popular all of a sudden. Why is everyone talking about it? And who really benefits from people thinking that way? In a similar vein, I followed the standard path that society sets out for you all the way until I was 24. The classic, study hard, get good grades, go to a good school, and get that corporate job with the nice title that your parents and peers will be impressed by. Only to realize that everything I had worked for up to that point led to a life that didn't actually fulfill me. And that's when I realized that your 20s are actually the time for you to take risks while you don't have all of the responsibilities, especially in your early 20s. You're probably not married yet, no kids or mortgage, so this is the perfect time for you to follow your own path and chase your dreams while living humbly. Number 4, invest in yourself. I want to start with a disclaimer that I am not a financial expert. The following is my completely subjective opinion based on my personal experience, and you don't have to follow any of it. So I know the common investing advice is to invest in those big index funds like the S&P 500 and accumulate the compound interest over a long period of time so that you can have a nice pool of cash when you retire. And while I don't think that's wrong, my view is that when you're young, early on in your career, you'll get much better returns by investing in yourself. And what I mean by that is investing in building your knowledge and skills. Say you manage to save up $2,000. If you put that in the stock market and you get a 10% return on your investment, which is what the S&P 500 has averaged in the last 60 years, you'll make $200 in a year. Not that great, is it? Let's say you saved $10,000 or even $20,000. At 10% return, that is still just $2,000 in a year. And you only get to have that money if you sell some of those stocks. Now, let's say you're not really happy with your job or the industry that you're in. Maybe you went the corporate route by default, but really your passion lies in making videos. I promise you, you will get a much bigger return on investment by spending $2,000 on a camera that will allow you to shoot better videos, or audio equipment, or some online courses to help you grow your skill set. I'm speaking from experience here because that is exactly what I did when I started this channel. I had very little money doing an unpaid internship, but the little I had, I invested in a camera, the Canon 6D Mark II. And this camera changed everything. I used it to start freelancing as a photographer, which allowed me to make a little bit of money on the side, and I made my first YouTube video with it, which is probably the best thing I've done in my life, because now I get to do this for a living, something that is genuinely fun and creative that I enjoy doing every day. And wherever your passion lies, whether it's video, writing, graphic design, or social media marketing, or business, there are many great resources to help you on your way. And one of them is our partner Skillshare. If you're not familiar with Skillshare, it is basically an online learning platform for creatives. They have thousands of courses taught by world-class creatives who have themselves succeeded in their field. I actually just finished a course from the amazing tech YouTuber MKBHD
to just sort of keep the tone in mind as if you're just talking to a friend,
where he dives into his methods for scripting, shooting, and editing. And he's someone whose work I highly respect and look up to. So it was really cool to get an insight on how he makes his videos and his thought process behind it all. My head of production, Viet, did a course on animating, which is actually how he made all of the animations that you've been seeing in this video. But you can also use Skillshare to learn so many other things. For example, you can learn how to successfully self-publish your own book, or how to build an Etsy shop to sell physical products, or how to manage your creative projects with the help of Notion, which is also the software that I use to manage basically my entire work and life. Skillshare is the place that you go to get all the resources you need to turn your passion into a paycheck. If you're interested in checking out Skillshare, just go to the link in the description. And for the ones that are fast enough, the first 500 people to use my link will get a 1-month free trial. Number 5, nobody cares. It's like when you were a teenager and you had a pimple on your face and you get all insecure thinking that everyone at school is gonna be staring at it. But then the day goes by and you realize nobody even cared. This is called the spotlight effect. It's this innate tendency to believe that people notice things about us or care about us way more than they actually do. The reality is people have their own lives, their own problems to deal with, and nobody really cares about you. A bit sad, but true. And thinking that way can actually be very freeing. I wish I understood that sooner, because this thought of what will people think of me can be an obstacle to the birth of so many amazing ideas, projects, and ways of self-expression. If you care too much about what other people think, you're gonna box yourself in this lackluster, washed down shell of who you really are. I would highly recommend reading or listening to the book The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson, because it really epitomizes this mindset.
The harsh truth of the day is that if you care too much what other people think, it's probably because you don't have something more important to care about.
The actions you take in your 20s will snowball into the rest of your life. And if there's one thing I've learned for sure, it's that making the hard choices now will result in an easier life in the future. But making the easy choices now will make for a harder life in the future. It's easy to stay comfortable, to keep negative people around just because that's what you're used to. It might feel great now to eat the junk food or binge watch Netflix. But I like to ask myself, what would the version of me in 10 10 years want me to do today? What would make him proud? He would probably want me to get off my ass and go to the gym. He'd want me to prioritize my health, be around people that push me upwards. And he would want me to take that big risk to start my dream business. Nothing good in life comes easy, so always make the harder, better choice. Despite the significance of your 20s, I think it is just as important to keep in mind that, relatively speaking, your 20s are still just a tiny portion of your life. So if you are approaching your 30s and realize that maybe you haven't lived up to your full potential, or you regret some of the actions you've taken or not taken, it's okay. As Gary Vee would say,
you have time. Just because you're not winning at 23 or 27 or 32, you're not finished. And by the way, what's winning?
Billionaire Jack Ma started Alibaba at 35. Vera Wang entered the fashion industry at 40. Stan Lee created his first comic at 38. And Colonel Sanders started KFC at the age of 40. So don't worry. Whatever path you're on, whichever area of your life you want to progress in, you are not late. You are not falling behind. You actually are right on time. And there is no better time for you to start than now. My friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little different to the usual fashion content, but you know, sometimes I like talking about other things that can also help you grow and better yourself. And as I'm approaching 30, I just wanted to share with you these few tidbits of knowledge that I've gained that I wish someone had told me earlier. And hopefully it can help some of you in your life. Even if it's just one of you, knowing that would bring me tremendous joy. But don't worry, we'll be back with the fashion in the next one. See you soon, my friends.